Hey everybody, Pastor Hans here. We are in week 2, our second and final week of a worship series we have called The Perfect Couple. And this series was designed for those of you who are maybe in a relationship and you believe you are the perfect couple, or maybe it's for you in a relationship and you long to be seen as the perfect couple. Maybe you are longing, you're searching for that perfect partner, or maybe you thought you met the perfect partner and they walked away. Whatever your situation, whether you're a high school student, college student, you're an adult, you're married, you're single, this series was designed for those of us who take our relationships seriously, who care about the quality and the health of our relationships. And I want to start with something. Here's what we all know. We all know that relationships, they're just hard. Relationships are hard. They're hard, I think, because we believe that if I'm a good person and I meet another good person, the right person, if you will, and we get together, well, then everything will be okay. It will be wedded bliss. It'll be rainbows and unicorns. It'll be wonderful. I think that's why when we hear about celebrity breakups, we are sometimes astonished. How could that be? For example, I, growing up, was a big Brad Pitt fan. Any other Brad Pitt fans? Well, way back when, I remember when Brad Pitt got together with Gwyneth Paltrow, and I remember thinking, oh, they are the perfect couple. She's beautiful and talented, and he is handsome and talented. This is an amazing couple, two good people. And when I found out they broke up, I was astonished. Well, it wasn't that long thereafter that Brad Pitt got together with Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston. I didn't think it could get any better. Jennifer Aniston from Friends. Brad Pitt had just done A River Runs Through It. I mean, this was a match made in heaven. And then I found out they got divorced, and I was astounded. I couldn't believe it. But it wasn't that long thereafter that Brad Pitt would get together with Angelina Jolie. Two superstars together. Oh my gosh, it just blew my mind. And of course, if you're a Brad Pitt fan, you know that they ended up getting divorced as well. And I'll be honest, this time it wasn't that surprising. He must have issues. Let's be honest. Here's the truth. When celebrities break up, you know this, we're sort of astonished by it. I mean, think of this couple, Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo. They spent some time together. They broke up. How could it be? How about this? For some of you, remember Arnold Schwarzenegger's marriage to Maria Shriver. What happened? Here's one that I still can't believe. Bill and Melinda Gates, two of the greatest people on the planet. How they've done so much good. How could they end up separated? And here's another one. You may not know this. I just picked it up on social media, and the timing is terrible with the Super Bowl and all coming. But did you hear Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift? They broke up. Talk about terrible timing. Actually, I'm just lying. Put your phone down. That's not true. But here's what is true. Here's what's true. Relationships are hard. They're hard. They're hard because we have some myths about relationships. The first myth is this. Once you meet the right person, everything will be all right. Once you meet the right person, everything is going to go just as you planned. All your worries, all your bad habits, all your past, all your problems, all your anxieties and fears, we have this belief that if I just find the right person, all of that will magically disappear. And guys, I'm going to pick on you for a little bit because we say some things that sort of insinuate this. We say things like this, oh, when I meet the right woman, I'll settle down, don't we? Or we say things like this, she'll make an honest man out of me. We say, when I meet the right woman, I'll change my ways. I mean, women, if you ever hear a man say something like that to you, here's what you need to know. They are Wrong. They are lying. In fact, when two people come together, you don't just get their problems, their past, their issues. It multiplies because now you're bringing your stuff into the relationship as well. It's like double trouble. Isn't it interesting? I mean, we spend a whole lot of time doing this. We fantasize about finding the right person. But here's what we rarely spend time doing. We never fantasize about becoming the right person. In fact, here's a question for you. Consider this. Are you becoming the person that the person you are looking for is looking for? Does that make sense? Are you becoming the person that the person you're looking for is looking for? Or to put it another way, if you're married, are you becoming the person that the person you married was hoping for? I mean, this is our first myth, the myth that we all believe that once you meet the right person, well, everything is going to be okay. The second myth is this. We have this idea that a promise replaces preparation. What do I mean by that? Many of us, we find the certain someone and we believe that if we can just make it down the aisle, get a ring on their finger, have them make a promise to us, make a pledge, make their vows, and then we have this party, we party like it's 1999, then everything else is going to be okay. If we got a promise and a party, well, that's it. I mean, it's a weird idea we have. Nowhere else in our lives do we believe that a promise replaces preparation. For example, at work, you can promise to your boss that you're going to have that presentation ready, but a promise doesn't get you very far if you're not prepared when you walk in the boardroom. Or how about this? You can promise to your wife that you're going to redo the kitchen, right? But it's only a promise unless you're prepared by calling a contractor. At our house, I have promised for the last 2 summers, I promised my wife that I was going to rebuild our deck. Well, I got about as far as tearing the deck off 2 summers ago, and there it sat. I even prayed about it, but nothing's happened because I haven't prepared. Athletes don't think this way. Around our house, we are big Nordic ski fans. Anybody know who this is? This is Minnesota's own Jessie Diggins. She is the #1 ranked Nordic skier in the world. Jessie Diggins is not #1 because she promised to be #1. She's not #1 because she loves Nordic skiing. She's #1 because she's prepared. In fact, people who are in the know about Jessie's training program say that she has these workouts that are called the Big Stupid. Isn't that a great name? Where she'll go to the mountains and she'll do a 30-mile run with something like 10,000 feet of elevation change. She'll do it all in one day. She'll ski 100 kilometers, the Big Stupid workout, right? She also takes care of her mental health. Some people know that she's got an eating disorder. She's prepared. You see, the truth is that a promise is never a substitute for preparation, whether it's work, it's construction, it's athletics, or it's our relationships. You see, a promise never replaces preparation. It's a myth that we have that a promise can replace preparation. You see, because we have these myths, I'm so thankful that we have the words that Jesus spoke way back when. Because Jesus had a lot to say to us about relationships and about love. You see, folks, when Jesus roamed this earth, he never invited us to make a promise to him or a pledge. He never asked us to make a vow to him. He just asked us to follow him. And when he invites us to follow him, he says there's one thing that involves. In the book of John, chapter 15, he makes it absolutely clear. He says, this is the one thing that following me entails. He says, the command is this. My command is this, that you say it with me, love each other. As I have loved who? As I have loved you. Now, I imagine when those first disciples, they heard this, it didn't make a whole lot of sense until until he was arrested and he was beaten, he was crucified, he was placed on the cross. And that's when I imagine they went, oh, he wants us to take the love that he displayed, that he showed us during his life here on earth, and he wants us to display that, to use that love so that all the world might know that love. The love he had for us, he wants us to love everyone in our life in that same way. This is the sort of love that Jesus invited. It's the one thing that Jesus invites us to do. And John records Jesus saying it. I want you to love each other as I have loved you. But then there's another biblical author by the name of Paul that's going to define that. What is Jesus talking about there? He sort of teases it out. What does it look like to love each other as Jesus first loved us? And we're going to take a look at that today. But before I get to that, if you're a student, I want you to listen for a minute. If you're a middle school, high school, college student, would you listen? Because here's what I imagine. If you're watching today, maybe you've sort of tuned out because you're not in a relationship. That's something for the future. When I'm in love, when I'm out of the house, that's when I'll care about this sort of stuff. But here, just listen for a minute, students. While you are at home, the home is the best place to practice. It's the best place to learn how to love. The home is the best place to prepare for your future relationships. It just is. The problem is, around our house, we sometimes don't love the way Jesus loved, right? I mean, I've got kids, and my kids, they get a little chippy with each other. They get chippy with me. Sometimes we don't always we take our parents for granted, and we don't always respect them the way that we know we should. We say things like this under our breath. Well, it's just my mom, right? Or it's just my dad. We tussle with our siblings. We sort of disrespect, and we say this. We say, oh, it's just my sister. It's just my brother, right? We do this. We treat the people within our home. I don't know why we do this. We treat the people in our home with less respect than those outside the home. I mean, think about it. You would never go to a coach and say to that coach, disrespect them and say, oh, it's just the coach. You'd never say, oh, it's just the teacher. Oh, it's just the boss, right? We do this. We treat the people within our home with less respect than those outside the home. And here's why that is a problem. It's a problem because it's a slippery slope. It leads to this. Oh, it's just my wife. It's just my husband. And what we end up doing is we treat those within the promise of marriage with less respect than those outside the promise of marriage. We put more time and effort into pleasing the boss, into getting ready for that job interview, and in sort of impressing that first date than we do tending to that person in that promise that we've made. Jesus says to us, whoa, 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 whoa. If you're going to follow me, that's not how it works. You see, here's what Jesus says. He says, that's how everybody else does it. That's how everybody else does it. That's how they love. And here's the truth. I didn't ask you to love like everyone else loves. I asked you to love as I have loved you. Let me give you an example of how this looks in our home. In our house, my boys know that if they disrespect me, we're going to get after it, right? We're going to tussle a little bit. But here's what they also know. If they disrespect their mother, they are going to see their father's fury unleashed, right? This guy is not going to act very pastorally with them, because they know that there's no one more important in this world to me than their mother, than my wife. They also are aware that they are a close second. And if anybody messes with them, I'm going to get after it. You see, around our house, there is no, it's just my mom. It's just my brother. It doesn't work that way. You see, students, the best place to learn about love is in your home. The best place to practice and prepare for a future relationship is at home, and it's right It's right now. Jesus asked us, he invited us. He said, I want you to follow me. And he says, there's one thing that entails. It entails loving others the way I have loved you. John recorded that. And then Paul, he teases it out. He defines, what does it look like to love one another the way that Jesus first loved us? And when Paul did that, he did it in a letter that he wrote to a group of people in a town called Corinth. And he writes these words. He says, love is patient. Love isn't pushy. It doesn't desire its own way. It's accommodating to the other person's pace of life, their situation. Love isn't patient. Love is patient, and love is also kind. It doesn't enjoy looking at the other person and pointing out their deficiencies. In fact, it gives your strength on loan to the other person so that they can shine. He would go on and he says, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It doesn't need to be, that person doesn't need to be in the spotlight all the time. In fact, it causes us to push the other person into the spotlight for them to get credit, even when they haven't earned it or deserve it, because we follow a God who in Jesus came not to be the master, but to be a servant. He goes on, he says, it does not dishonor others. It doesn't make the owner of that love does not make themselves important, but makes the other person more important, because that's what Jesus did when he roamed the earth. He said, you are more important than me, and he showed it all the way to the cross. He goes on, Paul says this sort of love is not self-seeking. It's not selfish. Here's what I think. 99% of our relationship issues would be solved if we all lived this way. Not selfish, not self-seeking. In fact, do you know how to discover whether or not your partner is selfish or self-seeking? You double down on not being self-seeking. You double down on not being selfish. And so you give and you give and you give, and then you watch your partner. And if they take and take and take, then do you know what you do? You run and run and run, right? Paul says it is not self-seeking. It's not selfish. This love is not easily angered. This word for anger here, it's actually from a Greek word that means to stir the pot. It's a cooking term. And doesn't it seem like we are all so easily angered these days? And here's what else. We believe sometimes, we say things like this, when I find the right partner, they won't make me angry. In one sense, you're right. You're right. They won't make you angry, because you know what? Nobody can make you angry. Your anger is your issue. Paul goes on. He says, it keeps no record. This love keeps no record of wrongs. Some of you love to keep records. You've got file cabinets on your spouse's wrongdoings. They say to you, oh, I never did that. And you go to that file cabinet, open it up, and you go, yep, on December 31st, January 12th, right? You do this. If that's you, quit it. We have a God who's got a file cabinet on you a mile deep. Do you know this? But he never chooses to open it. He chooses to forget it's even there. Paul goes on. He says, this love, it always protects. It always keeps certain things out. It keeps out those things that sometimes we try and smuggle into relationships. Maybe you're smuggling in debt, or maybe you're smuggling in a bad habit or an addiction you haven't told your spouse about. Love, it protects, it keeps the bad things out. And he closes by saying this, love always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. It always sees the best in the other person and overlooks the rest. Now here's the deal. Paul, he lays it out there. What does it look like for us to love as Jesus loved us when it comes to our relationships? Paul gives us the list. He says, love is this. It's patient, it's kind, not jealous, not arrogant, honoring, selfless. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record. it's protecting, it's trusting, hopeful, it's persevering. Now, I don't know about you. When I think of my relationship to my wife and I look at this list, I go, oh my gosh. I mean, let me be honest. Most days, if you were to give me a grade, I'm getting a C minus, a D. There are days I am a total failure. If this is what it takes to get an A in a relationship, then I'm never making the grade. It's just not going to happen. Maybe you're like me. But consider this for a minute. Isn't this what you want in a relationship? I mean, think about it. What if I were to read this list one more time? And I tell you to do this. I want you, as I read the list, to take out the ones that really aren't that important to you. And then at dinner tonight, you could share those with your spouse to say, oh, I don't expect you to be some of these. For example, which one would you pull out? Would you pull out patience? Of course you wouldn't. Kindness? Honey, you don't have to be kind to. Of course, not jealous, not arrogant, honoring, selfless, not easily angered, no record keeping, protecting, trusting, hopeful, persevering. We wouldn't get rid of any of them. And to be honest, the person that you are looking for, the person your spouse hopes you are, they wouldn't take any from the list either. Paul closes his passage by saying this: when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. I think what Paul is getting at is when he was young, he fantasized about love and fairy tale relationships. But then he said this, he said, when I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. I think what he's saying to us, what he knows about us, is many of us, we fantasize about being the princess, and our Prince Charming will come and rescue us. We fantasize about being Travis Kelce and one day finding our Taylor Swift and winning the Super Bowl and riding off into the sunset. But here's what you know, that makes for good entertainment, but it's all fairy tales. So what if? What if we were put down some of our myths? That we would put down that myth that once you meet the right person, everything will be all right. If we were to step away from that myth that a promise replaces preparation. And what if we were to do this? What if we were to do the difficult work of becoming the person you are looking for is looking for? And if you're married, what if we were to do the difficult work of becoming the person that the person you married was always hoping for?
Why are you striving these days? Why are you trying to earn grace? Why are you crying? Let me lift up your face. Just don't turn away. Why are you looking for love? Why are you still searching as if I'm not enough? To where will you go, child? Tell me, where will you run? To where will you run? 'Cause I'll be by your side wherever you fall in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. And my hands are holding you. Look at these hands at my side. They swallowed the grave. whenever you call. And please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you here at my side, wherever you fall in the dead of night, whenever you call. And please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you. Here at my side, my hands are holding you.
I invite you to join me now in the prayer that our Lord taught us. Together we pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Hey folks, thanks again for tuning in today. It's just an honor that you chose to spend a little of your day with us. If you're new to Calvary, we'd love for you to head out to our website, calvaryalec.org. Hit the button that says sign up for emails. If you do that, we'll shoot you out a note every Friday that just shares all the ways you can get involved and get connected here at Calvary. We'd love to do that. Folks, we are about to begin a season of the church year. It's a season that's called Lent. It's a season that gets us ready to celebrate Easter. It's hard to believe it's already here. We begin that season with Ash Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you're invited to join us either online or in person for Ash Wednesday worship. We have a noon service here at the church at 11:30. You can come early and have a soup meal, a soup lunch. Or you can come in the evening at 6:30, come early for pizza. We'll have our normal programming going on. We'd love to celebrate Ash Wednesday with you. We also, during the season of Lent, we're launching a new Bible study. We're going to study 1 Corinthians. Our worship series during the season of Lent is called The Good Life. We're going to take a look at what Paul wrote about the sort of life that God calls us to. You can join us in that by taking a look at 1 Corinthians. You can sign up following the instructions on the screen. Hey, one last announcement. 2 weeks ago, we gathered as a church family for our annual meeting. And during that meeting, we made some big decisions. It's going to be an exciting year here at Calvary. The first decision we made was to begin an appeal this year. We're going to seek to raise $3.7 million in a ministry expansion appeal. We want to take care of some long-term debt so that we can continue to grow and make room for more and more people that call Calvary their church home. You're going to hear a lot about this year. And secondly, we made a decision to spend about $40,000 to explore actually creating more physical space for the people who are joining us. More and more are calling Calvary their church home. And so we need to explore how to physically make more room by expanding into our basement. Folks, thanks for your support of our church. You're going to hear more about Make Room in the coming months over the course of this next year. Finally, as we close, I want to say a big thank you. Thank you for your generosity. You can make your offerings today in any of the ways on the screen. The easiest way is simply to go out to our website, calvaryalec.org, hit the button that says Give, and there you can sign up for a one-time, or I'd encourage you to consider signing up for a reoccurring gift. It's really easy and allows you to give even when you can't join us. The second way to give is using that app Venmo. You can cut a check, you can drop it in the mail to the address on the screen, or if you'd like to make a special gift or aren't sure how to make your gift, just give us a call in the church office. We'd love to connect with you. Folks, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.